practical computer accessory that provides users with a more comfortable and convenient computer experience. Lightweight, durable, and strong, this stand securely supports laptops, tablets, and other devices. This stand has a rotatable design. Users can rotate the computer screen to different angles and orientations according to their needs. This not only provides a more comfortable viewing experience, but also reduces stress on the neck and eyes. In addition, the stand can be adjusted in height according to the user's height and sitting posture to ensure the best working posture and visual effect.
Hey, everybody. All right. Uh, all right. Hey, something different today. We're standing up. No, I didn't get sick of my chair, and no, it didn't break. I just wanted to start off the segment a little bit, and I just wanted to talk about this. All right. So, of course, most of you out there, I'm pretty sure, are sitting down, right? You're probably sitting down when you play. I sit down all the time when I play, um, like at home or in my studio, when I'm working on things or just enjoying myself. But once in a while, I make an effort to do this, to get the old strap out and stand up. Right now, it may seem kind of silly in a way, like what are you doing? But look, there are times that you're going to have to stand up. Um, so the last time I remember where it sort of came up was I was at an open mic, and uh, it was a place that there was no, how would you say, assessing or vetting. Everybody was welcome, but there was a huge rumbling of there's an influence that you kind of gotta be a songwriter, or you gotta know what you're doing, or you gotta be of a certain level, right? So I thought, like, who are these pretentious whatevers? So I just decided to go just to check it out. And I got to tell you, folks, it should not have been labeled that way at all. But some people think, I know, it's just that whole ego thing, I suppose. But, anyways, where I was going with this is I got there, and this lady, or two ladies, got up, and they didn't have any chairs. And the ladies said, well, I've never played standing up. and everyone had to scramble around. Of course, they got them chairs, like we were in an eatery or a coffee shop or something like that, and or it was a bar. That's right, it was a bar, but it was like a bistro in the morning or the day, and then a bar at night. So of course they had chairs there. People got them chairs, but one lady, like, she had to use a chair with arms, and that was a bit of a hassle because you kept hearing her guitar banging on the side of the thing. But anyways, my point is, there are times where you're going to go, especially when you start going to like open mics and stuff, that you're going to go to these things and they are not going to have a chair set up for you. And again, it doesn't mean you're not going to get one. I'm just saying, like, and, there's other times, okay? If you aspire to maybe play gigs one day or take your show on the road one day, right? Well, it gets to the point where really you don't even think about like sitting down. Like, you would be standing up. I know when I do gigs, like, I'm standing up for the whole time. Now, I sometimes have that stool right there. Okay, I'll sometimes have a stool like that, or that one actually in particular, and I will use that and sort of kind of like sit, but I'm still upright like this, and I'm still relying on a strap. So all that ramble to tell you that it's a good idea once in a while to play or to practice standing up. Okay? Now, this may look completely normal and natural to you. All right? Now, the reality is it's anything but. Okay? Because if all you've done is sat down your whole guitar journey, right? Yeah, uh, it's something that it's something that it's almost like another skill that you have to learn, unfortunately. Okay? What I'm doing here is I'm just going to uh where I can maybe check some messages here because I have a hard time. There we go. Let me just kill the volume. Where I can maybe check. All right. Now I got your messages closer by. I can see them. Um, hey, everybody. Um, all right. So I'm just getting my messages here. As you know, I have to do sometimes. Um, where am I? Oh, there we go. Okay. Um, so let's go over some of the basics of using a guitar strap. Okay. Now, many of you would have this little knob right here under right here on the guitar like that. I used to wonder, like, why is it there? Like, why wouldn't it be here? Because again, I grew up in that era where when you saw someone playing an acoustic guitar standing up, they had the strap came out like this. And I have one of those and tied around. Okay? So I'm thinking, well, why wouldn't they just put like this knob here on the back of the headstock or something like that? But anyways, those are for greater creative minds than mine, right? So most of you have a knob here, and then you have your knob right here that your strap goes onto, right? Yeah, I don't stand as much as I used to, but it is a good idea to do so. So anyways, this is obviously where your strap connects to, okay? Now, if you're new to this, I wouldn't go out and get a big fancy leather, monogrammed guitar strap at this point in time, because the reality is, if you're like me, you'll try it once, last about 5 minutes, take the strap off and never use it again for years. Okay, so you can go out and get like a nylon, one of these cheap nylon straps for, $10 kind of thing. And that's what you would start with. All right, because you just don't know. Um, Now, when you first put your guitar on, the first thing that you're going to notice, right? The very first thing you're going to notice is the guitar seems, now the word there is seems, to fall forward, okay? So it feels like it's like this, okay? Now, it may not be, it is, but it may not be as obvious as I just did. But the guitar tends to kind of, like it pivots on these where the straps connect, I guess, and the whole thing goes forward like that, okay? So what happens is there's a different angle now because when you sit down, right, the fretboard is usually, it's up and it's back. So you can look down and you can see all 6 strings and you can see everything that you're doing very, very clearly, even with a little, like very little effort to lean forward. When you stand up, everything goes forward a little bit. Now, when you look down, a lot of times all you see is this one string here. Sometimes you might see 2. It's rare. Okay, now I'm always wondering if that's why a lot of guitar players, right, when they're playing, they're always like kind of like this, leaning forward, right? Or they're bringing the guitar up like this when they're picking notes and stuff. And I always wondered if that's what they're doing, is they're actually getting a good look at the fretboard, right? I always wondered about that. Okay, but that's the first thing you're going to notice. So all of a sudden you're going to look down and you can't see your D chord. All you can see is the tops of this finger and the knuckles over here. You can't see. So it's really weird. Right? So it's a much different experience. Now there's a couple of things that we can do, but not many, right? So the first thing that a lot of people recommend, and I've tried it and it does work, is if you adjust your strap and you bring your guitar all the way up like Roy Orbison did, okay? It helps, gives you a different vantage point, okay? Now, a lot of other guitar players, I think David Crosby is another one. Waylon Jennings might have been one, but I think he was more, he used to come at it kind of like from the back here, right? So I think his was more of it was side, he shot out to the side as opposed to lifted up, okay? But there's, everyone has their style. And then, of course, you got those, like the younger kids and the electric guitar players and stuff, they got them hanging all the way down to their knees. Now, I guess it's something about being young and having the wrists and you can kind of bend. I don't know what that is, but of course it's something you would get used to. But the lower the guitar, okay, the harder it's going to be to play any kind of bar chords or power chords for you. That's the reality, because you're going to be hanging down here, okay? So you got to really get an angle to get your fingers pointed up on that thing, right? I personally, as you can see, I'm kind of like, I'm not low, but I'm not up here. I'm kind of like, my belt is the bottom third of the guitar, or right near the bottom of the guitar. So could I go a bit lower? Yeah, I probably could. But I feel that I'm out of my comfort zone. And even this is pushing my comfort zone. So, for example, if you're an open chord player, right? So I find when I'm playing standing up, a lot of it is intuition, okay? So a lot of it, you get to that level or that point where you don't really have to look to play your chords, right? And that's kind of where you want to be. That's kind of where you want to be, right? You want to be at the point where you don't have to look. And if you don't have to look, then the reality is there should be no difference because you're not looking anyways. But there's no doubt about it. Like when I look down like this, like I just see the back of the guitar. So for note playing, I find myself, well, here. All right, so what I do is I use this leg to kind of tilt, see? So I got my hand here, so I've got pressure, downward pressure, and I use this leg right? So I got this leg out like this, and it kind of pushes the guitar up. So that's when I play notes. Now, and of course I lean in a little bit. So here's what you would see for me to play notes standing up. I'm not saying I do it all the time. Right? Right? That's what I do. And it helps quite a bit, right? Because it tilts that angle up of the guitar. Now, next time you watch electric or acoustic, but probably electric because they're the ones usually doing all the lead stuff. So next time you watch someone like that, especially if they have their guitar relatively low, like not up here, but you know, here or lower, see what they do. And I'll bet you they do some maneuver that helps lift, a combination of lift up the guitar and peek over and peek overboard, right? And kind of take a peek at the same time. So you change the angle a little bit from both ends, right? So now as far as playing chords, doesn't really affect me. I'm actually pretty comfortable like this. I'm actually pretty comfortable playing chords this way. It's really just the note picking for me, because when I pick notes still, whether I'm playing a scale or I'm just freewheeling or the Ray scale or just note runs, I like to look. Okay, now there are some things that I do where I don't look, but I like to kind of... Now in this case, I'm not right in there, but I'm looking. I'm seeing what's going on. So in this case, I find it much harder with note picking, right? When you're standing up. But again, after doing it a few times, that will go away. So look, there's two ways to look at this. So maybe as a beginner, if you have a strap, maybe just once or twice a week when you pick up your guitar, throw it over your neck, right? And just maybe as a warm up, just play a few, just to kind of get the feel of it, right? And then you'll find it in no time, like you get so used to it. Now, electric would probably be the same, or it is the same. The only thing I find with an electric guitar is with this guitar, I feel very little weight. And I feel like everything is kind of spread out, right? Like I can kind of, I got a pretty good feel. Like it's not, like I'm okay. When I put an electric guitar, especially like a Les Paul, like it feels like you got a brick. It's like you're carrying a bag of bricks. Like, remember the old days, the bricklayer helper guy used to go up the ladder with the bricks, the sides of bricks? That's what I feel like sometimes, Um, um, yeah. Leaning against a stool is good. Oh, nice. Uh, yeah. So Jeff, you're a proponent of keeping the guitar high, so that when you stand up, it's kind of in the same place, and that's probably the most common way. Um, and I think I did that at first, and then what I did was I slowly started to drop it. So I started off really high, like extremely high, like Roy Orbison or more high, and up like this. And then I just slowly, like one notch at a time, over every time I picked it up, I might have dropped it a notch, and then maybe kept it at a notch around here for a while, and then slowly started, right? And sometimes, like I think I'm up one from the bottom. I probably could go one more or two more in the bottom, and probably will one day, but like there's no real, in my opinion, I've tried both. There's no real advantage to playing up here or down here. In fact, I think the lower you go, the more disadvantage you're at. But that's me. And then how can I say that when I see these kids out there and they're down to here and the guitar is hanging way down here and they're playing all these power chords. But again, remember, that's all they're playing, right? Like most of them are just playing, like they're coming from underneath and they just have to play those two notes, right? And a lot of them are playing the power chords here, right? So it's really not that big of a deal. Okay? When you see someone with their guitar down real low, watch, see what they're playing. And I think you'll find most of the time it's just a series of power chords that they're playing. Like I mean, I guess they probably play a bit of notes too, but I think they're mostly playing that kind of stuff. Anyway, so all right, so I thought I would let you know that yes, look, there's no tricks, there's no magic, but there is a difference. Okay? Like there's no way around this other than to play standing up. There's no certain way to stand or anything like that. You're going to have to figure that out. It is different. It can be difficult. And I know people that have been playing guitar 20, 30 years and they can't stand up at all. So I don't know if I'd want to be one of those people. Like, I'd want the ability, if push comes to shove and someone gave me a guitar and I had no choice, and I've been in that situation. I've been in a small room kind of thing with 10 people all doing something, and there's no room to sit. And because remember, you're sitting, you're not just taking a seat, you've got your guitar. So you're taking up, so you put 10 people in a small room and you're pretty much done. And I've been in that position, and your only spot is by the door. And I've sat there sometimes and like this. And you got to make bread out of what they give you, right? And so it's really good to be able to stand up. And my last thing I was going to tell you was, yeah, what I just did, that's actually pretty cool too, is to get your, you remember Bill Wyman of the Stones? He played his bass kind of like this. So it was almost like playing an up a stand-up bass. So I've seen a lot of people playing guitar like this. You see a lot of those classical guys. Now, again, it doesn't solve the vision problem though. It makes it easy, especially for bar chords, right? Because what you're doing now is you don't have to like your hand is in the same position. It's in a natural position when your fretboard is up here. I just find it a lot easier. Okay? But it doesn't help. In fact, it might even be harder to see the fretboard when you bring your guitar up here, but that's an option too. A lot of jazz guys. All right. So I just thought I'd start off with something a little different. This is the final beginner show of the season. And when I say season, like I mean till the end of the summer, right? Because, so many people have so many things to do in the summertime. And um, let's see. Nice. So hopefully, Randy, you bought that. Was it at a garage sale? An antique sheet holder for the iPad. Nice. Yeah, I think Taylors are well balanced, but I mean, I've played Martin standing up too, and I played cheap guitars standing up, and it was all pretty cool. You got green beans, potatoes. Well, that's good for you. I really don't know what the point of that is. I guess jumping from room to room, telling everybody you got green beans and potatoes. So makes no sense to me. Why did you change the position? Which position? You mean standing up? Just to show, I think if that's what you mean, just to show people that you really should be standing up once in a while, because there are going to be some times where you have to stand up to play. And hey, IUW, how you doing, buddy? Thank you. Well, we're here every Thursday. This is the last Tuesday, but we're here. We're here every Thursday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And Thursdays, we usually talk about a little more higher stuff up the food chain. We talk about soloing and notes and bar chords and scales and technique and tips and, things like that. Where today, it's really about helping new people get going with their guitar, right? Get things organized. Let's start playing guitar. Now, in the days following, probably at some point tomorrow, I would imagine, I'm putting together a season end video kind of thing for beginners. And just as a tip, it'll be probably very similar to one of the last live shows we did, where we literally covered the journey from beginning to end, or at least beginning to intermediate ship. And we talked about things that we should be doing, things that we should just preference. Just preference. That's all that is. There's no strategic advantage to where the guitar is. It's just preference. Like as I mentioned, like David Crosby is up here, Roy Orbison plays up here. Those old country guys used to play up there, and then it's just. I guess it's whatever you're used to. Some people find it easier standing up to have their guitar high because it replicates. So here I am sitting down, right? So this is basically where we are sitting down. Now, if I adjust my strap so that when I stand up, my guitar is the same, then I can see that. The only thing is it doesn't help. It doesn't really help with the vision. You still lose because the guitar tends to lean out. The guitar tends to lean out a little bit, and so therefore you tend to lose the vision on the bottom. So, yeah, that's right. He did, and Waylon Jennings very similar too, right? Had that same approach. He had it, kind of like out like this kind of thing, right? And a lot of those old guys did. All those old rockers, who was the guy with the glasses? American Pie. Buddy Holly. I think he was another one, right? So, again, anyways, I just wanted to show you. So, again, where it is really personal preference. The thing that you'll notice the most, okay, is when you're sitting down, you can see a lot more of the fretboard, and the guitar, well, not only feels anchored, it is anchored. A lot of us put our thigh here in that little, like it ain't going anywhere. It's here. When we're standing up, this thing can be moving around, right? Like it can be jiggling around. And I know in my case, don't trust your strap. Use some kind of a lock. I don't because I don't play up enough. But if I go and do a gig and I know I'm going to be standing up for, an hour or two, I have little strap locks that I use. And I so recommend it. Now, when you're plugged in at a gig, right, you're not going to lose that anyways. Even if this pops off on you, you got the cable through there. So, at least you have, you have a safety net. But when this thing goes on you, like the whole front end drops on you, and it's like now all of a sudden you're holding up your guitar, plus you're trying to play. And of course, it always happens in the middle of a song. It never happens in between, you know what I mean? Like where you can sort of, I got you, no problem. So keep that in mind, right? But it's just simply, Kevin, it's just personal preference, and it's just from playing around. So if you weren't here before, maybe it's a good idea to adjust your strap so that you're high up, standing up, and then maybe every other time or two or three, you get used to things, drop it down one notch, right? And then drop it down another notch a few weeks later or a few days later, and then drop it down again and drop it down again. And another thing you can do too is to help get used to having the guitar is have the strap on when you're sitting down, right? So that you get the idea of what it's like. You stand up with it, you can kind of move around with it. And at first, yeah, it's awkward and it feels like the guitar moves and all your shirt goes with, everything goes with it. But it's kind of a touch and feel thing. And then after a while, you don't really even notice it. So, all right. So again, I just wanted to show you guys that it is something that you should be. That you should be doing. All right. So that's standing. Now, look, for those of you, again, very, very new, like very new here, right? As far as playing guitar and still trying to figure it out, okay? Remember, the approach that I take, right? And that's just for all of you here that are new, I'm not putting on a concert or anything like that. That's not what this is. It's basically beginner's guitar talk, okay? And I don't really play any songs. I may play a bit of some, but then I get copyrighted and stuff, and I can't keep the video up. So I don't really do that here on the shows. I do come on though other times during the week and play a set of music or just play around and practice and pick some notes, and you're welcome to watch. And so if you hit subscribe, you'll know when I come on, right? But today we're just going to wrap up the season of beginner guitar players and what we've gone through and what we should be thinking of over the summer, okay, as far as our guitar playing. Of course, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here on Thursday, so you can always check in there as well. But remember the most important thing here of what I'm all about, of how I approach the learning process, is I'm saying in the first many months of your guitar journey, don't worry about theory, notes, scales, keys, chords, anything like that. Don't worry about it. They don't exist. Forget it, out the window. What we need to be concentrating on are the motor skills. I can't say it enough, because without the motor skills, the left hand fretting the chords, right? C, D, G, E, A minor, E minor, F, without that, we can't play anything. Okay? So if we don't know how to make a C chord, or if our C chord sounds like this, right, then we're not going anywhere. No matter, again, how many tricks we use, how many gimmicks we learn, how many hacks we are told about, how many shortcuts. If you can't play a chord properly, it doesn't matter, because you're not going to go anywhere. So the first thing we need to do when you get your guitar and you decide, I'm going to learn this thing, before you even think about notes and music and scales, is you've got to learn how to play the basic chords. Now, there are 8 basic chords for beginners, okay? Of those 8, we generally are going to concentrate on maybe 4 or 5 of those, the major chords, and there's a reason, and I'm going to get to it. So, for example, the 8 chords, we'll call them the beginner's chords. In no particular order, we'll start from the top. A, or A major, okay? A minor, C, D, D minor, E major, E minor, and G. Okay. With those chords, now I know that's a lot, because it's not only 8 chords, it's 8 different shapes, right? We've all heard about the bar chords and the triads, and you just got to make one shape and you can move it all the way up. All right. That's for another day down the road, and it's not as easy as it looks, because in order to do that, you need to know multiple shapes on different string sets. And if it's bar chords, you need to know 4 different shapes of bar chords to play, right? And you need to know a little bit of theory. You need to know at the very least where your root notes are. Now, when you're playing bar chords, that's easy, because your root notes are on these 2 strings. String 6 for the E-shaped, both E major and E minor shaped bar chords, and on the 5th string for the A and A minor shaped bar chords. Okay? That's it. So that's what the bar is for. Okay? So with our pointer finger, that decides. So if I look down at my guitar and I see my finger right here and I'm playing a bar chord, I know I'm playing some type of an A bar chord, because my finger is on the root note of A. So even though you need theory, this is about the simplest guitar theory you can get, right? with open chords, we don't need to know. Oh, I'm sorry. With bar chords, even though you need to know a little bit of theory. Once you got one chord, right? You got them all, right? So you got all the major chords: F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, you got them all with one shape. Now, it doesn't mean that's how you're going to play them. That's a topic that we've gone over on the Thursday shows about, playing your bar chords with one shape or using two shapes, which is what you should do. So even though the trade-off is that you can play, you're more versatile with one shape, but you got to know some theory because you got to know where the root notes are. Okay. Right? So that's the trade-off. Open chords, you don't have to know any theory. You don't have to know the root notes. Okay? It's great if you do, but there's no rule that says, well, I'm going to play a G, I got to know where that root note is when you play open chords. There's no rule. You just know that that's a G because that's how you were taught, and that's how you're going to play the G. This is how you're going to play the C, the D, etc., etc. It don't matter what the notes are to you. In fact, I played for years. I really don't know how many. I've told people as little as 3 years, and it could be as more as 4 or 5 years without knowing anything about notes, root notes, keys, how chords are made, none of that stuff. I knew nothing. Okay? So that's the trade-off. But in return, I had to learn 8 different shapes, which can be overwhelming. So when we learn our 8 open chords for beginners, the best thing to do, what helped me 100%, before I did this, I would play and learn any chord that I felt like learning that day, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But at the end of the day, let's say I had 4 chords that I knew how to play really well, okay? And it might have been C, G, E major, and E minor, because all you have to do is take your finger off the E major and you got an E minor. Well, okay, so I knew G, C, and E minor comes in handy because E minor is in both the key of C and the key of G. So that came in handy. But the E major, yeah, you're going to go from a C to an E major sometimes, okay? But it's usually C, E minor, C, because of the way chords work in the bigger picture, which we're not going to get into at this point. So therefore, of those 4 chords, really only 3, and C, G would be the 2 that, would come up. But my point is let's learn them in groups of 3. And if we do that, here's the advantage. What we're doing is we're learning the 1, 4, and 5 chords of 3 keys. Okay? So in G, the 1 is G, the 4 is C, and the D is 5. So that gives us G, C, D. Now, right off the bat, with those 3 chords, we know, because I tell you every week, that we can play thousands of songs. But here's what else we can do. For those of you that don't know any songs, that haven't learned your first song, that aren't really crazy about learning songs at this point, this allows us to play something called the 12-bar blues. Now, this is fantastic because why? It's a piece of music. It's a formula that everybody has to play it the same way. And you play it using the 1, the 4, and the 5 chords of any key. All right? So, as I just mentioned, in the key of G, if we learn G, that's the 1, and C, that's the 4, and D, that's the 5, now we may not be able to play any songs, We can only play 3 chords, but now we could actually go to a jam and play the 12-bar blues in the key of G. And if we play it good, nobody would even know. Like if we know how to play our chords. This is the 12-bar blues. You've all heard it. Different keys. With a turnaround. And now it starts again. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Do you remember the old Batman television show? Da 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 da. Right? That's the 12-bar blues. Okay? So think about that. Right? When you hear that song to the old Batman show, that's the 12-bar blues. It's a version of it. Okay? Now there are different versions of it, but for the most part, it's pretty standard. Now, you don't know any songs. You've only been playing a few weeks to a month. Okay? And you know 3 chords. But see, with those 3 chords, now we can practice using the 12-bar blues. No songs. And of course, those are songs. You can put your own lyrics to it. I don't know, I've been told Navy wings are made of 24 Bugs Bunny carrot gold. Yeah. Get your thumb off the scale. Your flea-bitten varmint says, oh, Yosemite Sam. I mean, you know, you can put your own lyrics to things like that, right? That's the advantage of the 12-bar blues. Now, if you don't want to learn G, C, and D for whatever reason, that's okay. Because we got 2 more things that, or 2 more keys that we can learn in without having to play bar chords. And we can play the 12-bar blues. Now, one of them is a little bit of a twist, but bear with me. So the next one is D, G, A, D. Okay? Those are the 1, 4, and 5 chords of the key of D, right? D is 1, E is 2, F is 3, G is 4, and then A would be 5. So we play 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. No turnaround on this one. Right? So there's the 1, 4, 5 in the key of D. So now we can play. Now think about this. If we learned G, C, and D first, and that's why I mention all the time G, C, and D. And here's one of the reasons why. Because I know what it's like as a beginner and how hard and intimidating and daunting it can be to say, okay, I've just started playing C and G good or whatever. Now I got to learn another chord. And you got to kind of start all over again with getting your fingers down. Well, now, if we learn G, C, and D, and then we go to that second set, D, G, A, right? Well, think about it. We only have to learn 1 new chord. And now we can play the 12-bar blues in 2 different keys. We can play it in G, and we can play it in D. Okay? All right. Now, the next one that we can do this is in the key of A. All right? Now, A is the 1, D is the 4, and E is 5. So it would sound something like this. good for blues. Sorry, should have gone to the E. Right, so now we got 3 keys that we can play the 12-bar blues in, all open chords. Now, in this case, we already knew the D from the G, C, D, and the D, A, G, right? So all we had to learn here was the E, because we learned the A to play the D, A, G. So now we know how to play G, C, D, A, and we just added 1, and we got a whole new set of 3 chords that we can play in a different key. So now as a beginner, I only know G, C, D, E, and A. But with those 5 chords, I can play the 12-bar blues in 3 different keys. Okay? Not only that, if I only play the 1, 4, 5, which are the major chords, there are 3 minors and 3 majors that we look at in every key to play as beginner, as any guitar player. Okay? Any other chord is a derivative. So what I mean by that is, okay, so we know our A major. Okay? All right. There's not only there's not only one chord in A. There's A minor. There's A7. There's A major 7. There's A diminished, A sus, A6, A7, A add 9. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And those of you that know me know what happened to me when I started playing guitars. I bought a chart, big wall chart of all the guitar chords, and there were hundreds of them. And I didn't know any better, and I started learning. The first one was, I think, A. And I thought, okay, there's my first guitar chord I know how to play is A. And then it was A6, and I was like, okay, well, that's, what's that, this? And then it was A7, and then it was and I'm like, this is crazy. And I was weeks, and I was still learning A chords. And I couldn't switch from one to the other. I just knew where to put my fingers, but I had to watch and look and all that, right? And I'm like, what's going on here? This cannot be, there's no way I need to know all these hundreds and hundreds of chords. Why? Because I had nobody to go, hey, Ray, stop. Learn A minor. That's all you need. Now move on. Forget B, because it's a bar chord, and learn your C major. Nobody ever told me that, okay? So look, now we know how to play as beginners 5 chords. G, C, D, A, and E. And with those 5 chords, as I mentioned, we can play the 12-bar blues in 3 keys, and because they're major chords, the 1, 4, 5, okay? If you Google right now, how many songs can I play GCD or AED or DAG? You'll be surprised. There's a huge list, and I mean huge list. And if you take into consideration all the different genres, gospel, country, indie, you name it, okay? Classic rock, rock and roll, folk, whatever. Rockabilly, hillbilly, bluegrass. You'll see songs from everywhere using just 3 of those chords. The major chords, the 1, the 4, and the 5. So that's why I always, every week tell you, learn 3 chords from each key. Now, there are only those 3 keys, I think that's it, that have that many open chords in it. Let me show you. Like, we get into keys of E, all right? So key of E starts okay because we could play the E major. But the next chord is an F sharp minor, okay? So F sharp minor. And then it's G sharp minor, right? And then we get to play an A, right? We could play it here, we could play it here. But then we got to play a B. Then we got to play a C sharp, right? Then we got to play a D sharp diminished, and then we get to finish with an open A. So in that whole chord, the whole key, there's only 2 open chords, E and A. So we can't play a 12-bar blues unless we play a B, right? Right? Because E, A, and B are the 1, 4, 5 in the key of E. So if we don't know how to play that B bar chord or play it here, we're not playing. As a beginner, forget that. It's not happening. So that's why if you learn the 1, 4, 5 chords of G, D, and A, you now have 5 open chords, 3 12-bar blues in 3 keys, and all the songs that use those combinations, G, C, D, D, A, G, E, A, D. And there are thousands of those. Okay? Remember that one, Randy? Well, we're big rock singers, we got golden fingers, and we're loved everywhere that we go. We sing about beauty and we sing about truth for $10,000 a show. We get all the right, we get all the da 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 da. And that's it, E, A, D, and then they had that little 7th there that I messed up with my finger, which you don't have to play. But we can start playing all those songs that you'd be surprised. These are like really good songs, and they only have three chords in them. Now, the beauty is, as you get comfortable and you start adding a 4th chord, then it's all right there for you. It's either going to be an E minor, or an A minor. Okay? So if we add an E minor to our G, D, and C, okay, and we add this E minor here, now we can play songs like we can play those 4 chords in many, many combinations. Okay? And we can play hundreds or thousands of more songs just by adding that extra chord to the 1, 4, 5 that we already know. So G, C, D, and then we add an E minor. Okay? Where, oh, where could my baby be? The Lord took her away from me. She's gone to heaven, so I got to be good, so I can see my baby when I leave this world. Right? Okay, so it all starts with those 3 basic chords, the 1, 4, 5. And then as we get our left hand down and our right hand, we get a little bit of strumming, okay? We start using either, even though we can use all downs like we did as beginners, but now we got to start at least keeping tempo, right? Maybe adding a little attitude to it. But the best thing to do on the strumming side, on the right-hand side of things, is when you can start playing your 3 chords, or even 2 of those 3 chords. If you're just playing G and C and you're still not going to the D yet, right? You're trying, but it's not quite working all the time. We can start implementing a strumming pattern, something basic. And the first thing that we want to do with our right hand, because usually when we start out, it's this. Change. Change. Change, right? So the first thing we want to try to do is add an up. Even just 1. Because it might sound weird, but so if we've been doing this for a week or so on our GCD, right? Just working on our left hand fretting. Right? It's easy to get into a rhythm, a rut. Okay? We think we're doing good, and we are. But what we're doing is we're letting our right hand get too complacent going like this. So let's get an up in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, up. 1, 2, 3, 4, up. 1, 2, 3, 4, up. And it might sound simple, and for some of you it will be. But for others, it's like, oh my God, what just happened? I can't do this. This is incredible. This guy's crazy, right? What chord am I playing? This is a G. I play it with my back fingers as opposed to, that's the same notes being fretted. I just play mine this way, okay? And I just find it's easy to go to the C and eventually the F, which we're going to talk about next. If that's what you're asking, I'm only playing the major chords from those three keys: G, C, D, D, A, G, or E, A, D. Those are the only chords that I've talked about today. So those are those 5 open chords. And those are the ones that I recommend you learn in that order. Learn G, C, D. That gives you the ability with just 3 chords to play your 12-bar blues and a bunch of other songs when you get good with this hand. You're not playing nothing. Like, don't get me wrong. Don't think because you know how to play a G, a C, and a D. Okay, I know how to play G, C, and D. Where's all these songs Ray told me I can play now? Well, okay, that's not quite, exactly it. You can play those chords, and those chords you can play thousands of songs with. But in order to play a song, there are other things that we have to do in boot camp, right? In the first stage of our guitar playing. And that is right hand. So like I said just now, we can, for the sake of working on our left hand, and this is what we all do, and I'm one of them, is when we're working on our left hand to get our chords strummed, we tend to just do this. And then we do this. We wait. Oh, okay. Now, don't do that. I know it's tough, and I don't mind you doing it the first few days. Okay? But here's why we don't want to do that. What we're doing when we do that is we're slowing this hand or stopping this hand to accommodate this hand. And like I said, the first few days, absolutely. But if we continue to do that, then we build our first bad habit. And that is not forcing our left hand to keep up with our right hand. Because moving forward in your journey, you don't know it yet, this hand is the most important hand. Right? Now, day 1, you learn how to play a C. Okay? 20 years later, if you're still playing guitar, guess what? You're going to play the C exactly the same way as day 1. Nothing has changed. So once you learn it day 1, you're going to play it like that till day 20,001. But this hand, when you've been playing 15 years, 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, you are not going to sit there going, right? You're not. This is what makes you a better guitar player. It's this hand. You're going to be playing something like this. Just an example, okay? If you watched my left hand, I didn't do anything different than what I learned day 1, okay? So all you saw me do is this. That's it. I did the same thing as I learned day 1. But this hand was completely different than this, right? Okay? That's why I say the boot camp, the first few weeks, this is where you learn how to fret your chords. And you generally, enough strumming, 1, 2, to allow that to happen. So what we need to do is, instead of doing this, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, Now, again, I'm not talking the first few days or maybe a week, okay? You can do that because this is important. You got to get this muscle into your muscle memory. But then what we need to do is we need to force the left hand to keep up with the right hand. So now, how I would approach it. Now, let's say I know how to play my G, C, and D, and I've been doing it for a couple of weeks, all right? This is what we need to do. G, 2, 3, 4. If I'm not ready to change, keep going. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Don't stop. Keep this hand going. Now, what you can do as you get a little better, if you notice what I did there is, even though I kept going, right, I was strumming without playing a chord. When I did hit the chord, I played a full 4 measure, 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4 to complete the measure or the bar. And then I switched, okay? And I wasn't ready to, and now I'm ready, 1, 2. But what you can start doing is 4 strums regardless. So what I mean is you start off 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I got it. 3, 4. So you're only going to play 2 there, but 4 altogether. And then you're going to switch again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Right? And you'll find that eventually this hand will get there on the 1 because it has to. And so you keep this going at a nice slow tempo. Okay, now this isn't just a beginner's thing. This is something that you should employ anywhere down the road in your foundation, in your guitar journey, because, okay, it could be bar chords, it could be triads, it could be scales. You want to make sure that this hand keeps in tempo with this hand. This guy here, he's the king. Or in some of your cases, she's the king. Okay? She's the band leader, the one with the stick, right? This right here is the backbone moving forward. This is what this makes into music. So what we're doing now is we're learning those chords that played the way we're playing them now. There's no music whatsoever. There's no music here. And don't worry about it. There ain't going to be music. You ain't going to make music day 1, 3, 6, 20, 30, and maybe even 50 or 60 for some of you. You're not going to make music. What you're going to sound like is a person learning chords. Okay, now, what happened with me is the odd time, like you're going to go, you just learn a new strumming pattern. Down, down, up, up, down, down, up, down. And you're going to go like this, and then you're going to go, and for some reason, and you're going to go, oh, what did I just do there? Like I'm not going 4, 4, or 8, 8, because, you know, you should start off with 8 beats, because it gives your brain and everything time to reset, right? But remember, that's going to sound really boring. So, but it gives you time, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, what do I got? Your mind's going, I got to go to the C. Okay, ready? Here we go. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm not ready to change here on 4 to D. I need those extra 4 to think about it, right? D, right? And that's cool. And then we're going to shorten that into 4s. 4 Gs, 4 Cs, 4 Ds, 4 Gs, 4 C, whatever. Or if you're coming back, 4 Cs, 4 Gs, whatever, however pattern you're going to use, but all downs. Now we're going to start a strumming pattern. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Changing on the downs. Always want to change on the downs, unless you writing a song specify otherwise, or the song you're learning, like there's some songs like that where you change on the up, right? So watch my left hand. There's going to be songs like that. So we got to prepare for that. But again, that's why we do the up, down, so we can combine those. Well, what we're doing is quarter notes and 8 notes, but you don't need to know any of that. That's why we have strumming patterns. So you, as a guitarist learning, don't have to worry about when you got to strum quarter notes and 8th notes or even 16th notes, which you can't do now anyways. You don't have to worry about it. That's why your strumming pattern is there. Downs are quarters, ups are 8ths. So when you have the 2, what I'm playing is a quarter and an 8th. Quarter, 8th, quarter, 8th, quarter, and these are 8. The ups are 8ths notes. If I didn't have the ups, I'm playing quarter notes. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whether I strum up or not, the count is the same at the same time, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and so without that up, my downs are exactly the same distance apart. Those are called quarter notes, 4 of them to a measure of music. So if someone says, all right, guys, we're going to play this, it's C, G, D, there are 2 bars of each chord in this. So that what they're telling you is there are 2 bars out of 4/4. So there are 8 beats of every chord. So when you're jamming, you know when to change, right? So, okay, no problem. G, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. C, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, right? That's how we start counting. So now you know 3 chords, maybe 5. But you know at least your G, C, D, or your D, A, G, or your A, E, D, whichever preference you have, okay? You know that at the very least. If you've learned all 3 of those keys, of the 1, 4, 5s and those keys, then you now know 5 open chords. So if we take those 5 open chords and we add just one other strumming pattern, we already got this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, don't laugh at that because I use it all the time. And not only that, eventually you'll speed it up, right? So eventually that 4 on the floor, 4 down, or whatever you want to call it, right, can be this, right? It can be... right? All downs. Just not 1, 2, 3, 4. A little more attitude there, a little quicker. But it's all down. So we know that strumming pattern. Now we add something with an up in it. And the easiest one would be something like down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. So down, down, up, down, down, up, right? That'd be the simplest. And I mean, you could, well, there's all your strumming patterns, okay? So if we take I like to always have a long one for those 8, 12, and 16 bar pieces where there's like 12 bar blues, where there's, 16 beats of chord number 1. So I like to play maybe one of these. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up. I split this one. So you see what I did there? Between the little, on the 12 bar blues, I went down, 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 right? And then I did the down, up, down, down, down. You don't have to do that. I'm just saying, right? It's just a way to kind of get these 2 hands working together. So where are we now? Where are we at now? We've been playing a few weeks. We know 5 open chords. We know 2, maybe 3 strum patterns. Now, I want you to understand something. At this point in time, even though you are playing different strum patterns and you're, for the most part, playing your chords, you're always going to have a bad landing, right? So you're always going to land and one finger's touching the wrong string and it's going to make a weird sound. Just keep going. Adjust your fingering as you're strumming and keep going in the same time, all right? Because it's going to happen a lot. Now, the other thing that's going to happen, right? And this bothered me, like I can't even think about how long it bothered me for. And I used to say to myself, mostly comparing myself to online people, but even when I went to these open jams or open mics, and sometimes I just go and watch, right? What used to really confuse me was, why do they sound so much better than me? But they're playing the same chords. They're playing a 12-bar blues. I mean, I've been playing that since week 3 in my journey. Why do they sound better than me? Right? Okay. Without knowing, without looking, I can tell you probably, in fact, overwhelming probability, the reason they sound better than you, right hand. That's it. Touch and feel. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care what you're doing. For all of you that are ever been into any kind of fine arts or touch and feel things, coordination things like darts, pool, snooker, ping pong, tennis, certain things, those, not electricians, but the people that solder those boards, like electrical engineers, maybe they are. I'm not sure what they are, that do work with circuits and all that kind of stuff. Like the precision and the touch, how much solder goes on there. And if you put too much on, all this kind of stuff, right? You don't have that. And that is, in my opinion and from my experience, was the last thing that I got. I could learn any chords. I could learn bar chords. I could learn scales because you're just memorizing things, right? But when it came time to interpret those things and turn them into music, that's when I felt always that I didn't sound good. And I tried everything. Yes, that's right. Look, 9 times out of 10, if not always, it's about this. It's the way, all right, so the big music terminology would be, it's the way you are attacking the strings. Okay? That's what it is. Now, there are some things that we can do. So the first thing I did was I went to a really thin pick. Now, this isn't the pick, but this is a point, I'm going to say 50, so 0.5 millimeter. And it's hard for you to tell, I know, but it's very bendy. It's really just thin, look at how wispy it is. Now, the reason I like this is because for strumming, it's not as stiff, so it doesn't catch those. All right, so here, this is a very, very stiff pick, okay? Look, this one, see how bendy that is with very minimal, right? This one here, this ain't going anywhere, all right? Okay, so when I strum with this, if I'm not careful, this is what I'm going to get. And I'm going to tell you right now, the feeling that I have in my thumb and finger here is just overwhelming. It's like something just banging at me, like it's just so rough. So of course, when I pick up a pick, I can tell right away, okay, this is all, hey, anybody have a pick? It's one of those situations, right? Here, Ray, here's a guitar, play mine. Oh, does anyone have a pick? Yeah, use mine. And you're like, holy jumping, this is like a piece of drywall. Okay, so my first thing I got to do in my head is I got to be fine touch on the pick, right? So, see? Now, if I didn't control my touch and feel, I'd be... And when you play your acoustic guitar like that, what happens is you hear it still ringing out. So what happens is you attack the strings, you play your G chord, it's booming, and then you play your C chord and it booms on top of that, and then you play your D chord, you play your G chord, you play your C, you play your G. And after a while, if you're not careful, like it's just, I call it spaghetti. It's just mud, right? That's all it is. And you can't distinguish between the end of one chord and the end of another. Now the same thing is if I'm playing notes. If I'm pounding on my guitar and I'm fretting real fast, you never give a note a chance to show its personality, right? Like, you know, you don't let the note do something. You're just going, okay? So again, as strummers, as beginner strummers, this is so often the reason that you're playing a GCD and they're playing a GCD and they sound so nice and you sound like crap. And it's usually this. So we go to a light pick. Now when we do that, okay, and we just hold it the regular way, what happens is we got a little more give. So when I'm actually, you hear that? Now when I was a kid, I know they don't do it anymore, but when I was a kid in the 70s, early 70s, we used to take clothes pegs with a baseball card or hockey card or whatever and put it on the forks, right, that held the wheel on your bicycle. And as the bike went around, it would flip the card and you'd get this sound, right? This, you hear it? All right, so we go to a thinner pick. Now, I started with a pick even thinner than this. It was a white pick, and I'm going to say it was 0.38, 0.4. I mean, it was, well, my friends would go like, anybody got a pick? Except Ray. I don't want Ray's picks, okay? Because they were so thin. But in my mind, like that just made me sound smoother and quieter because I had not yet developed a touch and feel. Takes a long time. So I would go with a thinner pick. Now, the good thing is they're terrible for playing notes or scales. Forget it. It's just like it's like trying to play with a wet noodle, to be honest with you, okay? But that doesn't matter because at that stage of your guitar playing, you're not playing scales, you're not playing notes, you're not playing leads, riffs, and licks and all that kind of stuff. So it don't matter. So sometimes a nice, thin pick allows it's just softer contact on the strings until you develop your own sense of touch. So you might want to try something like that. Lastly, what I tried and loved and still play that way today is I put my pick down. So now I'm playing. It didn't start like that. It didn't start like this. I didn't play like this from day one. Okay? I played like this. And I loved it. Like the first night I did this, I still remember the song I was playing. The song is this. Da-da-da-da-da, in the sunshine, where the lights are building, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. America, Ventura Highway, right? And I used my thumb. Da-da-da-da-da, watching down a hole, with da 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 da. Okay? And I thought, even if you just play your chords, G, C, D, G, D, C, D, whatever, right? It just seems so much softer, and it just, right away, it just like, I'm like, wow, is this ever cool? So I played like that for the longest time. And it wasn't until I went out somewhere to a party and there were other guitar players there and we all sat around, we're playing, and people are talking and stuff. Nobody could hear me because I'm sitting there literally pounding my strings so hard that I got like a blister on the side of my thumb, right? From trying to be louder. Nobody could hear me. So then I realized, uh-oh. All right, playing without a pick is fantastic at home in a controlled environment, in your studio, your kitchen, your basement, your room, whatever. And it's great because all you need to hear you is you. But the minute you're in a room and people are talking and there might be something else going on, forget it. You got to use the pick. So here I am back to square one, right? So the last thing you can do, which is not a beginner's thing, so I'm only going to just touch base with it, but the last thing you can do is you can implement palm muting. Okay, now all that palm muting is, it's a way, there's many ways to do it, but it basically, we use the outside of the palm to mute the string. So we could do that in a couple of ways. So I'm playing a G, and I want that chord to stop like that, okay? Maybe I'm going G, C, D, and that's the effect I want. G, C, D. I use the palm to cut it, right? But I can also use the palm to kind of, oh. I can also use the palm to decrease the volume, for lack of a better word. So it's like a volume knob, right? So now I can play here's without palm muting. I can play and it gets a little harsh. Now I can implement my palm. You hear the difference now? I'm still playing as hard. Here's how I'm playing. There's my palm. Okay, so very quickly, here's what I was doing. With the soft side of my palm, right here. As I'm strumming, I'm actually brushing the strings. So here's what you would hear if I wasn't putting the pick to the strings. You can hear the strings actually making a tone. G, C, now here's the pick with the palm. Here's without. Here's with. Okay, big difference. Palm muting. So those are the few little things at this stage. Even the palm muting might be a little overwhelming at this point. And I want you to understand that using palm muting in no way means that you should not continuously work on your touch and feel, because you should. You will use your touch and feel, especially way down the road, right? You know, you've all seen the videos and everything. Oh, triads. Yeah, that's where it's at. Got to play triads. Well, you know, that's great. And some of you may well go that route, okay? But you're going to find when you're playing your triads, now they're going to sound different. I'm not going to get into them here. That's more of a Thursday thing. But they're going to sound different because we're only playing the 3 notes of a chord, all right? So they're going to sound tinnier, thinner, you know, whatever. And especially the triads on strings 1, 2, and 3, because that's how they're played on string sets of 3. So 1, 2, and 3 has triads played from one end to another using various shapes, about 3 or 4 shapes. Then there's another set played on strings 2, 3, and 4, and they're going to use the same kind of shapes, but different. Okay? And then they're going to have another set played on strings 3, 4, and 5, and they're going to use, well, the same kind of shapes, but different, and on and on and on. So you're going to find that if you don't have a touch, that some of these triads, especially the ones here on these strings, are gonna sound pretty raw, really intense. So you're gonna always need that touch and feel. And a lot of times with triads, you're gonna end up picking the strings. You're gonna arpeggiate those strings anyways. You're not gonna always play them like a chord. But again, don't even think about that now. That's way down the road and may never come for you, right? Because you don't need triads to play guitar. You don't need bar chords to play guitar. We've already gone through that. So now where are we? We know 5 chords, okay, that allows us to play 12-bar blues in 3 keys, plus all of the thousands of songs that we can play GCD, DAG, and EAD with those 3 chords in each key. So right there, if you go through the list of songs, you've got enough songs that you're going to see, oh my God, that song from AC/DC I can play. Oh my God, that song from Journey I can play. Oh my God, Led Zeppelin. Oh my God. And there's all these songs, 3, 4 chords that I know these chords. Okay? And then it's just a matter of working on your right hand. Okay? So now we're well on our way. The only problem is that in order to play the songs as they sound, the way we grew up listening to them and want to emulate, well, again, it requires a sense of rhythm that we have not yet built up, okay? Because we have learned our chords, we have learned our strumming, a few strumming patterns. We still don't have that touch and feel. We're a little bit heavy-handed, okay? So we're working on that. And now we understand that it's not enough to say, hey, I know how to play C, D, G, D, C, G, so I can go, Well, this is what I did once. I did this, and I practiced it all week. Now, you're sitting there going, okay, so he played D, C, and G. Fantastic. I practiced this all week in anticipation of a get-together with a bunch of buddies, and I wanted to impress them. Now, look what I'm learning. Now, when I played those 3 chords just now, in my head, I'm hearing the drummer, the bass player, the vocalist, the backup vocals, everything. And I'm hearing that song. So when I'm playing this, I'm going like, oh yeah, these guys are going to think I killed it, right? So Thursday night comes, I sit down, I go, I got one for you, because they'd always let me play first, get me out of the way so that the real boys could play. That was kind of the deal, right? So I'd go, I got one, and I'd start. And they're all watching, and they're like, and I'm thinking to myself, boys, come on, give me the song. You know what I'm playing. And they're like, okay, all right. Hey, good one, Ray. They didn't know what I was playing, okay? And I didn't understand this either. Like, why don't they know what I'm playing? Well, it's simple. I had no rhythm, okay? I played all the right chords. I played the amount of measures in the chords. I could have even played the strumming pattern that probably, but I had no rhythm. So I'm just playing. That's all I'm doing. So the reality is I could have been playing, I'm going to go around once and I'm going to play. So I could have been playing, gonna take a freight train down at the station, Lord. Don't know where it's going. Right? I could have been doing that. I wasn't, but I could have been. And I could sit here and do that 4 or 5 more times with different songs because they all sound the same because, well, they got exactly the same chords. That's why we always say, hey, GCD, you can play thousands of songs. The only thing is, you've got to do something to distinguish one GCD song from another GCD song. Okay? All right, so the difference is, now, I can't explain this to you, I'm sorry, other than it's a rhythm thing. It's a soul thing. So here's the songs, okay? She got a smile that it seems to me reminds me of childhood memories, and everything was as fresh as a bright blue sky. Okay, you see what I mean? Okay, so that's D, C, G. Okay, and the other song would have been more like, gonna take a freight train down at the station, it's rhythm, and it's something that I can't articulate because it's a product, in my opinion and from my experience, it's a product from within. And you can only impart this product onto your playing when you are comfortable, somewhat skilled, and that will bring confidence. And when you're confident, you can do anything on guitar because it's attitude. It's coming from here. And that's what turns all these chords that we try to learn so hard on opening day into music. And for some of us, it happens in a month or two. And for others of us, me, it took a long time before I truly had rhythm and / touch and feel around the strings. That's what allows you to be more creative with your strumming. That's what allows you to make these basic open chords that we spend all this time learning, the pain, the anguish, the frustration. It all comes down to this is the hand that decides how good we're going to sound with those chords. So wouldn't it make sense that as soon as you can put 2 of these chords together, to start paying attention to that right hand, the touch and the feel of the strings, the different strumming patterns, hell, even the way you strum, because we're all taught, right? We're all taught elbow, okay? Pendulum, right? So bend at the elbow, keep everything tight. Whether you strum or not, keep the pendulum going. You'll always strum that way. They're absolutely right. However, what they didn't tell me was, you know what? After a while, you're going to find that you're going to do that. You're going to still go down, down, up, down, all that stuff. But you're going to do it from the wrist, not the elbow. Right? So check it out. So this is the way we learn. But as we get quicker, we need faster BPMs creating and resulting in faster chord changes. We can't be doing this. Like, we just can't play. Like, we're just. Now, I know you see some guys do it. The country players are there and they're doing it. And absolutely. Like, don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying it's one or the other. But what we need the ability to do is take our strumming down to just our wrist and even just our fingers. Okay? So instead of this, we might be doing this. Now you notice the difference. My elbow is pretty much glued to my guitar, but now I'm moving from the wrist. Down, 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 up, 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 down, 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 up, up, down, up, down, 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 up, up, down, down. Okay? So again, there's an evolution in strumming as we continue on, and we always want to play everything with touch and feel on the strings. So that is again, going back to that whole thing is, why do I not sound as good as them and I'm playing the same chords? It's because of your right hand. The touch and the feel, the comfort, right? When you're comfortable, when this guitar feels like it's part of you and you're comfortable the way you touch it, the way you play it, the way you approach it, everything just comes out more fluid, more natural. And that's something that I always say can't be taught, right? I can show you, I'm doing it now. I can tell you I'm doing it now. But it's up to you to do it. And that's what you've got coming this summer. So for those of you that are in that early few months of playing and you stumbled upon my channel or whatever, and you're going to try it my way, okay, go through my library, okay, learn those 3 open chords in the same key, and just work those chords like they've never been worked before, okay? Now, when you're ready, you add that 4th chord, that E minor, that A minor. Now, you are going to run into songs that are going to, you're going to say, oh, wait a minute, B minor. I don't know how to play B minor. For now, don't worry about it, okay? But once you've got a command of your open chords, at least those 5 that I talked about, okay, that allow you to play in the 3 keys, the 12-bar blues, then you're going to add in your E minor and your A minor. Now, when you're ready, when you're feeling good, when you're confident, the first bar chord you're going to attempt will be B minor, and there's a reason, and then it will be F sharp minor, and there's a reason. It's because as you Google songs, you're going to notice the 3-chord songs, okay, that was good for a bit, but I need more. So that's where you're going to find the same 3 chords, but with an E minor. The same 3 chords with an A minor. And that'll get you rolling again. You're going to, oh, great, I got a whole new list of songs I can play now with the 4 chords. And then when that wears off a little bit, you're going to start seeing the B minor come in and the F sharp minor. We're not going to deal with that right now, but that's the order that I would learn in, okay? Those are going to be my first bar chords and my only bar chords that I'm going to play. I didn't play any other bar chords, just those 2 for years, okay? I do have videos on my site about this that cover why I learned those 2 and how to learn them and all that kind of stuff. So you can check that out there. So now we're at 5 chords. We got some strumming going on, and now you want to take 1 song or 2 songs, and you want to memorize that song, and you want to be able to play that song cold blue in the middle of the night. You wake up on a December morning, and in 2:30 in the morning, you can grab your guitar and play this 1 song or 2 songs. And that's the song. You're going to use everything we talked about today, and you're going to play that song or 2 songs, and that is how you're going to start working on your rhythm, because your brain will tell you, well, I hear something here, and it doesn't work if I just go like this. I need something more. That could be a little pinky giving you that effect to make that chord. It's still a D chord, but to make it sound more like what's in your head. Again, it'll all come from the right hand. Right? So by using a song and all, like my song was Country Roads. Okay? So that was my staple song. That was one of them that I would play. Okay? The other one was I could just sit around making music all day long. As long as I'm making my music, ain't gonna do nobody no wrong. Okay, now they're just songs that I've known since I was 10 years old. I know every in and out of those songs. So I can sort of be my own self. Hey, I know I'm getting better because this song is starting to sound more like it does in my head on the radio. So I must be getting better. And that's really what we do. We have a song or two, or I had a song or two, that I always played once in a while as a test. So here's my exam. So I've been playing around for 3 weeks. Now I put my phone up there and I'm going to play Country Roads, right? And I start Almost Heaven. Ba, 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 ba. And I'm objective and I'm listening. And does it sound like the song? Yeah, it does. At first it didn't. It was just a bunch of jumbled chords that sort of sounded that way, but it was just a chord progression. As I got better with my strumming, the song started to sound more like it does on the radio. So right there, I've got a built-in meter to tell me that I'm getting better. There you go. Okay. So lastly, there's one other chord that is not an open beginner's chord, but it is a chord that you should learn. And a lot of people don't learn it because when they first see it, they go, no way, okay? And that's your F chord. So, yeah, using different picks. Yeah, you experiment. If I'm going to play somewhere, I usually take 4 or 5 different picks with me. And I'll use 2 different ones for sure, maybe even 3. I got my strumming pick at about, 48, 50 millimeters. And then I've got my lead guitar pick, which is it's like a piece of wood. And then I got one in between here, which is about 62, I think, 62, 65. And I can strum with that. And I'm also comfortable playing little runs on the bass strings with this. It's thick enough to stand up to the bass strings and give me good tone, but I can also, I have a little more touch and feel, obviously, than maybe some of you, and than I did 2 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever, right? So I have at least 3, and sometimes I'll take more, but 3 different types of picks for an outing is what I usually use. So yeah, you're right. It's a good idea to break it up. And one friend told me, Ray, start with a heavy pick. You'll regret it if you don't. I kind of see what he was saying, right? I kind of see what he was saying. He was saying, look, if you don't now's the time to get used to that real hard, heavy, rough pick. Everything else after this will sound a lot easier. So I got it. I just couldn't do it because the heavy pick right away as a beginner with all that strumming, it was just too harsh, and it made me sound unconfident. I just didn't sound right. So what I did instead, because he is right in a way, so what I did instead is I started the opposite. I went with the paper type one first, but I made sure, and this is the important thing, that every couple of weeks that I upped it until it got thick. Does that make sense? So just like the strap, when we started out, start here when you're standing up and then lower it to get more comfortable every couple of days or weeks or whatever, or every time, few times you play your guitar. I did the same. I made sure that I started out with a white pick. It was the lowest you could find. It was almost like paper. But I slowly increased it until I got to that green and purple one. But if I didn't, he's probably right that I might have handicapped myself for a long time, because if you get too comfortable, it's hard to change, to get you out of that, get out of that sort of habit or groove or whatever you want to call it. And that's the only thing, right? All right. So the last chord, not an open chord. Okay. Now, I call it an open chord, but by definition, it's not an open chord. An open chord is one that has an open string in it that rings out at the same note as one of the triad notes of the chord. So G would be GBD, or there's the triad, right? GBD. When we play our G, we play all 6 strings, even though we only need 3 notes. Well, why is that? Well, because the other 3 strings, or the other 3 notes, come from open strings. So fretted, we have a G, a B, and if our pinky's here on the 3rd, we have another G. Okay? But when we play it G, B, open D, open G, open B, fretted G. So if we look at all the notes we're either playing a G, a B, or a D. Even if we do this G here, okay, with the 2 fingers down on these, right, this, like the G to the C add 9 box kind of thing. G, right? You might know this song. Oh, it's right? That's without moving these. Even if we do that, look at what we're playing. G, B, D, G. Now, instead of here playing an open B, we're playing a D because we got it fretted at the 3rd fret. So that's one of the triad notes. And then back here is G. So we're still only playing G, B's, and D's. That's called an open chord. If we look at our D major chord, right, we're playing D, A, F sharp. There's your triad. But we're also playing this open string right here, and that's a D. So there's your root. D, A, D, F sharp. That's an open chord. If we don't play that D, right there, that one right there, if we don't play that D, and we just play this, it's still a D, but it's a D triad. It's not an open chord, right? So the chord I'm talking about is so important because when we Google and we see this chord, we just turn the page. And that's your F chord, right? So the F chord, well, there's no way around it. There it is. All right. Let's talk elephant in the room. There's your F chord. I know very well a handful of players that started playing guitar just before or after me. And I've talked to many, many more before I did this. And everybody told me the same thing. Everything was cruising along well when they were learning guitar until they got to this. And then it was, I don't want any part of that. Okay, that's your F major bar chord. Now, I didn't know this because, again, I had nobody to tell me, right? So what I would do is I would just ignore any song that had an F in it. Now, remember when I told you starting out about the 12-bar blues and the 1-4-5? And you notice there was one key, the most popular key in music, in that 54% of all music is written in this key, and I didn't even talk about it. And that's the key of C. Now, the reason I didn't talk about it is because if we look at the 1, 4, 5 chords in the key of C, we have C, D, E. The 4 is F. We have C, F, and G. 1, 4, and 5. Well, how can I play my 12-bar blues? C, F, G. C, F, G. Those are my two options. So, you know what? I'm not going to bother with that. And that's why I didn't mention the key of C. But what we can do, and again, nobody told me this, is we can play our F a couple of different ways. But the simplest way is to play it as an F triad without the pressure of learning a triad. So all we got to do is we take our C chord, okay? And we leave our first finger in place on that C note, right? Because that's what that C chord is right there, that C note, B string, first fret. Then we skip that string because we play it open in the chord. We skip it. So we're going to take these two fingers and move them down on the guitar, up in pitch, right? So now we have a finger on second string, first fret, third string, second fret, fourth string, third fret. And we only play those 3 strings. We don't play this string, and we don't play these strings. We just play the 3 strings that we're fretting. Takes a little bit. There's your F triad. So now we can play the key of C, 1, 4, 5. C, F, G. C, F, G. C, F, C, G. Okay? So that is your 9th open chord. That's what we'll call it, even though it's not an open chord, right? There are other ways to play an F. We deal with this kind of stuff on Thursdays, okay? But this is the easiest cheater F to play. 3 strings, 3 frets, 3 fingers. That's the way to look at it, right? One after the other. Strings 2, 3, and 4, frets 1, 2, and 3, and just play those 3 strings. So I'll leave it up to you when you want to start learning your F. If you learn it right away, now great, because you got C, F, G. La 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 bamba. Ba da 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 bamba. Ba 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 ba. Right? Or we got something like brown-eyed girl, brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when she used to say la 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 la, something like that anyways. Okay? Simple stuff. You've also got I met her on a Monday and my heart stood still. Do run, 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 do run, run. Slow down, 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 her name was Jill. Do run, 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 do run, run, yeah. Ah, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da. Do run, 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 do run, run. Okay, so now we've opened up the door to even more songs, but I'll leave that up to you. Okay, so that makes it, we'll call it the 9th beginner's chord if we include that F. All right, so hey, there we're at. We've gone all winter. We've talked and shown you ways to get your guitar from the store and get you playing songs in hopefully as quick as possible. I get a lot of comments here and there, and by far, it seems that a lot of you have been playing around for a year or so and kind of not making any traction and don't know where to go. Get caught up on this and go on this for a bit, and then they're on to triads for a bit and bar chords for a bit, and then this for that and this and then when you look at it, you've been playing a year or two, and you look back and you don't really know any one thing very well. A lot of people fall in that category. That was my thing after my first year, and I quit because it just didn't sound good and it hurt me every day, and I didn't like what I was hearing, so I quit. And then I came back and I did the same thing again, and another year went by and I quit again because I was going nowhere. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to put any more time into this. Right? So the third time back, I did it this way. And boy, 3 chords. That's what I started with. And I used maybe 4 here and there, but you know what I'm getting at. Like took it right to the bones. And then when I realized, wow, what I was missing before, I didn't know how to play bar chords, and I couldn't. If someone said, "Here, play a, I don't know, an E flat bar chord," I have no idea. Okay, like I can figure it out, but if you made me play it right now, go to the E flat, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, or play this scale, or play. I have no idea what I'm doing. Right? All I knew was a few chords. But boy, when I started playing those chords well with that good strumming, touch and feel, being able to articulate every string on my guitar at will, still only playing 3 or 4 chords. Things everything I touched, I could learn like that. What, song? Okay, what? Oh, it's got a new chord in it? Oh, what's the chord? Oh, no problem. Give me an hour. I got it figured out. And that's really the way it is, because you got a guitar foundation, left hand, right hand, ears, brain. You're comfortable. You're confident, you know. Hey, hello, West. How are you, buddy? That's that for me. That just took me, right? Everybody's good here. This is the last Tuesday beginner show until probably back to October-ish or so, and we'll start up for next winter again. But we'll still be here every Thursday at 3 o'clock Eastern North American time. So that's about, I think it's about 8 or 9 out in the UK, and it'd be probably around noon out in the west coast of North America, and wherever you live from there, you can kind of figure it out. But now what you've got now for the summer is you've got something to work on, and it will take you time, right? You've got a game plan. You're going to learn those chords, the 1, 4, 5 chords in those 3 keys, okay? And that will give you a good foundation to play 12-bar blues stuff and to play all kinds of songs. And then don't fall victim of those beginner's traps, okay? Don't fall victim to watching your feed and seeing some girl shredding the board and telling you that you can do this in 30 minutes if you download the course or whatever. Not going to happen, okay? And I will go out on a limb. If you've been playing guitar less than a year and you think that you download something and you're going to be playing guitar in 20 minutes or 3 days or whatever, sorry. Don't want to burst your bubble. It ain't happening. I'm not saying the information isn't right, okay? The information is good. Most of these people have really good information. It's just the problem is it's not meant for you or me when I was in my first year or anybody else out there. This is stuff that requires physical improvement and mental, as in guitar theory improvement. I've always told everybody, and I'll tell you for the last time for a while here, is you do not need bar chords, power chords, triads, scales, advanced guitar theory, none of that. to be able to play this instrument and enjoy it in terms of being able to play hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of songs. Okay? Yeah, and I mean it's not all scammers. I'm not saying these people are scammers. I'm just saying that two things happen. Okay? I know. No, it's the camera. Yeah, it's the camera. Even though I've set it properly, I don't know why it won't go. All my other cameras are fine. This thing, it won't change. So, uh, but yeah, like no matter what, and no matter where you are and what you do, eh, those videos, usually it's a combination of things, right? Usually it's the right information, but it's aimed at higher people. But us at beginners watch this and go, "Phew," and maybe they don't make it distinguish. Maybe they don't say, hey, if you've only been playing 2 years, don't download my course. It's not for you. I'd never heard that said, but maybe that's what they should say, because we take it in our minds to think, hey, if we get this guy's course, we're going to play guitar. Well, no, it's not going to work that way. As I said, a lot of these people, they got great information, but it's not meant for you. It's meant for you 3 years from now. Then you go back and visit that and download the course where you can shred the fretboard, because now you've got it. But I will tell you that when you get to that level and you download that course, right? I'm not singling out a course. I'm just generically saying. When you do that, guess what? Your first little while, you're going to be doing this. You're not shredding no fretboard. You're going to be back to where you were in these days. And you're going to have to learn how to do it. And then you're going to have to do that every day until you get a little better. A little better. Then you can move. Right? Just like we did with our chords. So there's no magic potion. There's no special link. There's no fancy chords that only the pros know. There's no one note that unlocks your fretboard. There isn't any of that. Okay? You got to learn your fretboard. You have to understand what notes make up chords to play at a certain level. You have to understand how to build certain types of chords, what notes you can leave out of chords, right? We haven't even talked, that's more of a Thursday thing. But on Thursdays, we've talked about, what's the difference between playing a G chord, okay? A G chord, right? What's the difference? A G chord. What are the difference with all these chords? Well, in many cases, the difference is you're eliminating some of the notes, right? So G, play them all. There you go. 6 strings, 3 notes, multiple times each note. Yeah. Okay, bar chord, same thing. Okay, playing all the strings, multiple notes, playing a G and playing a G, playing a D with the underside of my bar. Right here, I'm playing a B, playing a G, and I'm playing a D. And what are those 3 notes from a G triad? G, B, and D. But then I realized I could take that off and play that. Still a G chord. Notice it sounds a little lighter. There's the bar chord. There's without those notes. This note and that note. Maybe I think it sounds sounds a little too light, so I'll add another note back. I'll add the G back here with this finger. Give it a little treble. Too high? Maybe I'll just play this note, right? So I'm not barring anything. I'm just playing the G note. Oh yeah, it's all right, right? So we can jiggle it around. If we play the triad, the G triad, well, we're just playing 3 strings. That's all we're playing is the 3 notes. Okay? So we have different ways to play a chord. I could play the G this way and just play the top notes, which are the lowest notes. Right? I'm not doing that. I'm just doing this. Right? Elvis usually played open G tuning because he couldn't really play guitar. So they just tuned his guitar to an open whatever, usually G, and then he just played. So that's a G, and he just played A, C, D. But you see what I'm saying? Like, we eventually learn that we can take notes out of the chord. It's still a G, but we're not playing as many notes, and I get a different voicing out of it. But that's down the road, right? So for now, all we want to do is we want to get our strumming down, get our chord playing down. The reason we stay with the same chords over and over is to build that confidence, that polish. So now we can do anything. And you'd be surprised the difference it makes. Then when it comes time to learn that bar chord, give me a day. Give me 2 days. I'm on it. Because we're not beginners anymore, right? There's no more of this ever. So we've been playing a year or two. We're playing great chords. We're strumming. We're playing songs. Now we're going to learn bar chords. It's not the end of the world. All right, here we go. So that's a G. Oh, I got it. No problem. Okay? Yeah. I might have a couple of mishits here and there. Gonna always have issues with your bar. It's a hard thing to get control of, okay? But you're gonna get better. The important thing is you're never gonna be a beginner again because you're gonna have a guitar foundation, right? All right. There you go. There's everything that a beginner should know, in my opinion, on your way to playing your first songs. And you only add from there. But all I can tell you is, do not take on things that you can't do. And that is the same for you guys when you start learning songs with your new skills. Don't take on Dust in the Wind by Kansas. Don't take on Stairway to Heaven. Don't take on certain chords like anything from the Black Crowes or stuff like that. These are songs with sometimes obscure chords played in different parts of the guitar neck, on different tunings, heavily relying on bar, power, and triad chords. Don't do it. Start with things you can handle and master and sound good with, and then expand from there. You know how many songs I wanted to play in my first year that I couldn't? I tried. And really, I just did myself harm because I either developed bad habits or usually you just chip away at your confidence and you start, my God, does that ever sound terrible? That's horrible. What am I thinking? I'm terrible. I can't be doing this. That's what happens every day, that you try to play things that you're not good at. You sound crap. And if you sound crap, you're going to think you're crap. And once you think you're crap, you'll never think you're good. All right? You need a big turnaround. So this little things that we can do is so important. Okay? So now you got all summer to play with 4 or 5 chords. Okay? Don't add a chord until you are beyond confident with the 3 or 4 that you're playing. Work on different chord or strumming patterns. Always be working on your touch and your feel around the strings. So important. If you just did that, you learn those 5 chords, you develop a good right hand strum, you develop touch and feel, and when the time is right, you learn and introduce yourself and learn about Mr. Capo. With those 5 chords, good strumming habits, and a capo, you can play anything. Just something new. Smell of wine and cheap perfume, yeah. For a smile you can share at night. It goes on and on. Don't stop believing. Ba-da-da-da. You understand? Like, that's all you need to do is be good with these hands, these ears, and this brain, the guitar foundation. If you're good with that, you can do anything, right? I always compare it to the skills of a juggler, with the throwing the balls up and you're adding a ball, so now I got to throw these higher and I've only got so many seconds, and it's coordination and it's skill and it's timing and it's rhythm and it's just confidence. But once you can do that, then those things could be balls, bowling balls, bowling pins, flaming arrows. You've got the mechanism. Now it's, what are you going to juggle? Once you have your guitar foundation, you can play anything as you move forward and continue to put the intensity and the time and the dedication into this. Now, for those of you that just want to play a few songs and you're out, well, that's amazing too. It's the same thing. You learn your chords, you develop your guitar foundation. The only difference between you and someone else is that you decide, you know what, I'm good. I know 4, 5, 6 chords. I can play a bookload of songs around the campfire, up at the cottage, in my backyard. I'm good. I'm at peace. And I'm going to make those sound as good as I can over time. Thank you so much. Great. For the rest of you, you're the same. The only difference is, as you move forward and take on these new challenges and new ways to play chords that you've already learned, you're going to learn a new way to play a G chord, and that's cool. Or you're getting into scales or lead guitar, right? Your learning curve is never going to be what it was when you picked this thing out from the store and brought it home. Your learning curve is now going to be, okay, what do I got to do here? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, that makes sense. There's the root note, okay, and I got to, yeah, I'm on it. A few hours, a few days, and you're gone. You're off to the races. And that's just the reality of it, right? That's why the pros or good guitar people show up and they go, hey, what song you want to play? Oh, let's play this song. Let me see it. I just got to have a look at it. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Key of what? Yeah, key of C. Okay, those are the chords. Yeah, let me give me a listen. Yeah, okay, let's go. Let's play. And it's really that, not easy, but it's that forward because you have all the skills necessary. It's just implementing it now. Okay? All right, so look, thank you for everybody joining us all winter. We'll be back again on Tuesdays. I am here on Thursdays at 3 p.m., and it's the big guitar show. And up until now, it's included anything that's more complicated than beginnership. But we're going to also keep the beginners involved on Thursdays, so we're going to, be a bit of everything for everybody. But we do emphasize, more upper end guitar stuff. And, what I recommend doing is plugging around all week. And if you have any questions, write them down. Come and see me Thursdays and ask the questions. And if I can help you, I will with the demonstration right on the spot. And if I can't help you right away, then I'll get back to you and follow up accordingly with a video or something that will help you out. If you think I can help overall with your journey, or you just want to be a part of things here, please hit that wherever it is, subscribe thing. It's probably down there somewhere. I don't know. um, by all means, do that. That'll alert you whenever I go live. And I do go live. Some of you asked us for me to sing songs. I do go live and play little gigs online. Um, I jump on TikTok once in a while as well, but mostly here. And you know, you're on your way, and it's a different way. Mine is a slightly different approach, but I think it's a good approach. It worked for me after two failed attempts, and you know, it worked for a lot of other people that seem to, kind of understand the philosophy, learn a little bit of chords enough to get you going, and polish those chords to build your confidence and your timing and your rhythm and your touch and feel of the strings, and then branch out slowly but surely. And that's the big thing, is slowly but surely. Don't get suckered into all those beginners traps and things that other people are telling you that you need to do and that you should be doing and that you have to be doing. Well, no, you do what you want to do. What do you want to do with your guitar? What kind of music do you want to play? And depending on your answer, then there's your strategy for learning right there. If you want to play country music, and then you're going to start with your G, your C's, and your D's, and you're going to want to have a good, solid foundation of open chords, right? Pretty simple. And if you want to be a lead guitar player, or if you're more interested in licks and riffs and playing as the second and third guitar player as part of an ensemble, well, then after you've built your guitar foundation, you're going to continue right on. You're going to go right into scales and notes and triads and things like that, right? So it all depends. You want to be a rock and roll heavy metal guitar, you're going to play triads, you're going to learn your scales. There's so many things after your guitar foundation, because we all have to learn how to do this. We have to. It's the basis of playing guitar. We've got to learn a bar chord or two. We've got to learn our open chords, and we've got to be able to strum the guitar with some sense of rhythm, timing, and quality. Or else we can't play anything. Even notes. We can't play little note runs if we don't have a touch, a feel, a sense of rhythm. We just can't do it. Or else it's just going to sound boxy, like boom, 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 boom. Like it's not going to have any character. And, we're going to miss-hit some notes, and we're not going to have a good foundation. Like, we have to have that to play anything on guitar, right? So, all right. So we will see you, hopefully, a lot of you on Thursday at 3 p.m. If any of you have any comments, suggestions, inquiries, whatever, send them along. And again, if you think I can help you and you want to be part of it and you want to support the channel, please hit the old subscription-rooney thing. And that's the best way, um, you know, to support. It shows YouTube that, I might actually be a somebody when I'm really a nobody. So um, I'll leave the rest up to you, all right? So for all my beginner friends, stay in touch, and please join us on Thursdays, okay? I know it might be some of it's out of your thing, but you know what? It's not a bad thing to listen and watch, because you're going to be there real soon. And I'm still going to deal with beginners on Thursdays too, right? So, all right. We'll see you guys later, okay? Have fun, and remember, there's only one way to get better with guitar. One way. And we all know what that is. Just play your guitar. All right, see you later.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the